Here's my intro to the video. If you want to know all the details of what went on, listen. If not, skip to the video. I'm not going to tell you where the video starts because I want you to have to find it yourself because I'm a dick. But that's fine. Moving on. I missed half of this interaction. I stopped and caught what I could hear. Here's the deal. I documented. They left me alone. At the end, as I was walking away, the female officer began to approach and attempt to get my attention, so I decided to oblige her contact request, and I had to turn my camera back on. I turned around to engage in a consensual contact and conversation. She was polite and professional, but I also have my own beliefs as to what her intent was, or potential intent, we'll say. She said she supported my recording and the reason that I told her for my recording. She then asked me if I lived around there, which I initially said I wouldn't answer, then decided to answer that I did live around there. I then explained to her some of my thoughts on her profession in general, and she made a few statements, and I countered, and the first conversation ended with no issues. I then had to go back because I'd forgotten to ask her if she'd been recording. I'm going to make some comments during this video about her possible motive for her approach and intent to cause consensual contact, and though I could be wrong in today's policing, the odds are I am not wrong. They like to escalate, they like to dig, they love fishing expeditions, and even more so, they love to get that personal information so they can say, I got that info, I know who that person is. Some of my comments will be made directly to her as if she were standing right here, because on the sidewalk there is no way you can get most of them to have a serious and in-depth conversation, though she did a good job in my opinion for the most part. And honestly, as soon as she was informed as to my opinion of her profession in general, I could immediately see her physical aspects change, as well as her desire to discontinue our consensual contact. At least that was my sense from what I saw from being on scene. But hey, it's her right. As long as she isn't running away like a coward, or the general cowardly disposition of their profession, or so many in their profession wearing that uniform today, or barking unlawful orders, or infringing on rights, or fabricating laws to satisfy some false sense of ego and better than thou, or falsely detaining, or, well, you get the point. That is the general approach of law enforcement today, in my opinion, and I believe there's a lot to back that up. And I know some people would say, take a meaner approach, take a ruder approach, take this approach. You know what? Make your own channel. Take your own approach. I just think you can't expect people to listen, especially if you have a disliked viewpoint, or at least disliked by the person you want to speak to, if you take the approach of screaming, F you, pig, or just start berating them. Logical arguments, facts, statistics, and then explaining what you believe is supportive of your opinion is your best chance to get someone to have consideration of your opinions. So that's the approach I take here, and present what I believe as far as a sidewalk encounter can be hoped to reach in the level of conversation that you can have there. One last thing. If you don't like it when people stop their video to make comments on their video, on their channel, that they want to make, then you should probably go elsewhere. I'm sure you'll be sorely missed here. Look at me. Look at me missing you already. On to the video. Looks like his car's full of stuff, tires and such. You can see he's got some stuff in there. I just caught some of this. Looks like he's inventory, securing it for booking. See if he's got a bunch of money in there. Right there's the PD. Looks like this thing's wound down. I missed half of it because I had to go do something as I passed by. She's looking at me through the window. I know. I'm antagonizing them because I'm using my First Amendment right to document government officials in the course of their duties. I get it. Before somebody complains about that, I always laugh when people say that. You're just antagonizing them. He's probably on the phone to his boss. There's somebody out here with a camera. I'm thinking about tasing him. Do you think I could shoot him and articulate that I was in fear of his camera? If we use the word he was shooting me and don't say with the camera in court, we can rationalize it. All I know is this dude looks like, and I don't know what the arrest is for, but this dude looks like he's got enough issues. Based upon what I'm seeing in his car, I don't know if you can see it. So based upon that, he looks like he has enough issues to deal with. He probably didn't need this. But again, I don't know what the cause, if it was a stop, or what the cause for arrest is. So I don't know if they're going to do a little searchy incident to arrest or not. I would assume. That sheriff's deputy just fucking accelerated quick to get through that yellow light down there. You didn't see it, but I watched it. Maybe he's going to drive his car somewhere so it doesn't have to get towed for him. Or maybe not. Maybe he's going to lock it up. Or maybe they'll tow it and he'll have to pay towing and impound. Who knows? They don't give a shit for the most part. Quick note here. This guy did his business, walked around, gave a polite wave, hardly took much notice of me. I'm sure he tried to pay attention somewhat. Turned his back, did his thing. You know what? I support that. He did what he should have done and continued on. I just wanted to say that. How's it going today, sir?
Pretty good, how are you?
Good. I can still be cordial. And he hadn't done anything that I saw so far, and I don't know the backstory. Looks like we're all done here. Now let's see if one of them follows me to where I'm going. And we got one leaving with one in custody, and we got one leaving, just leaving, and backing towards a vehicle that's coming. Not even looking, she just started going back. Oh yeah, higher standards. How can I help you?
I just wanted to chat and see what your reasoning is for recording. I'm just curious.
You're a government official in the course of your duty, and I document that.
Nice, nice. Do you live around here?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Oh, okay. I completely support it. I was just curious.
Okay, well, then you can understand that while you're wearing that badge and you start asking me questions, it very well could be phishing or something else.
Sure, yeah, I'm not at all. I was just curious if you live around here.
Now, can I be completely honest here and say I am positive that she's not being truthful and that she is in fact phishing? No, I cannot, and I'd be dishonest if I said I could be honest about that. I can tell you this. If someone has a bucket of 10 snakes and they tell you only 3 of them bite, but you should put your hand down in that bucket, I don't think you'd do it. I know I wouldn't do it. So I prefer to just keep my hand out of the bucket. And since their typical approach is what I say it is, in my opinion, phishing, escalating, etc., then I just prefer to keep my hand out of the bucket and keep myself on guard. So you can look at it multiple ways, but what are the odds, in your opinion, because I have my own, what are the odds that she's trying to see my eyes through my sunglasses and see if they're glassy or bloodshot, that she's trying to smell for narcotics, that she's trying to smell for alcohol, that she's watching my body language and watching, see my balance, etc. So what are the odds of that? Because, you know, in most cases it seems like today that that's all they're doing. She may be absolutely truthful, and I cannot say without a doubt she isn't. Maybe she really was just curious, or maybe she thought, you know what, he won't tell me where he lives. I'm going to get some information one way or another. Let's watch him. Let's see if I can articulate a smell. Let's see if I can articulate an activity, an action. Let's see if I can articulate some reason, some cause, some suspicion that allows me to dig deeper, interrogate more, reach into the pockets for a full search, detain him temporarily, demand ID. You never know. And like I said, there's so many of them in that profession now that are the snakes that'll bite you that I just think you need to keep your hand out of the bucket, and I think the bucket needs dumped out in the woods. And overall, I call the profession a domestic hostile occupying force, because no matter what, at the end of the day, they will enforce tyranny, they do enforce tyranny, and they will do what they're told. They will follow orders, and if and when called upon, they absolutely will violate the Constitution and your rights. And they'll use the tried and true excuse of, I was just following orders, or in their case, I was just doing my job. I do now live around here, that's correct. I'll give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
And can I get your... You can tell me, or I can just record your name and badge number. Is it Brown?
Brown?
C. Brown?
Yep, C. Brown.
I won't call you Charlie Brown.
Okay, yeah. I get that joke all the time.
Okay, but yes, ma'am.
I was just curious and wanted to
I do this. You probably wouldn't like my YouTube page because I'm not a big cop supporter anymore. But what I found today is you guys are being used as stormtroopers against we the people's rights.
Stormtroopers, huh?
Yeah, you are, whether you mean to be or not. But here's the deal. A lot of you are being put out on the street, and because of the tyranny that's going on in our government today at the top, they're writing laws that are causing you to have to infringe. And so if you do that, you can't claim I was just doing my job or I'm just following orders. That wasn't accepted in the Nuremberg trials, and I don't accept it today.
Okay.
But I don't dislike you as a person,
Yeah,
but I think that when you're wearing that uniform, you're enforcing tyranny, because you will get called on to do so at some point. And the more laws they write, the more infringements in the right you have to detain, to infringe, to go into people's privacy. And I just don't support that. It's nothing against you personal. But
I
so
always
when
like to hear other people's opinion and how we can do our jobs better, because we're here for you, right? I'm
well,
not here.
I understand you say that,
Yeah.
but you follow orders. And if you're told to do something and it's a law, whether it's anti-constitutional or not, you're going to follow that order most likely. So that puts you in a position of being either a tyrant or a tyrant by extension, or a tyranny enforcer. And you can't help that. You either get your paycheck and you do what you're told, or you don't. So I understand that aspect of it. But at the same time, at a certain point, people have to stand up and say, even in your profession, some of you have to stand up and say, you know what, we're not doing this. We're not infringing on the things that made this country great, that our founders enshrined in the Constitution to remind government of we the people's rights. We're not going to infringe on that. And a lot of you won't do it. You either put your heads in the sand, you refuse to stand up, or you just say, oh, I was just doing my job, I was just following orders. And I don't think you'd like that for me if I said to you, well, I'm a part of a gang, I'm just doing what I'm told to do.
Sure.
I don't think you'd appreciate that from me, so I don't appreciate that from you guys. And I'm not saying you're a bad person, Miss Brown, by any sense of the imagination. But I think when you put on that uniform, you are putting yourself in a position to enforce tyranny. So that's kind of the perspective I take on it.
I just think you got to narrow it down to each individual contact that we make, because we make so many contacts, and every contact can be better, right?
I've heard that.
Any advice on it, feel free to contact me.
I understand that perspective, but I look at it in a totality. All across the country, laws are written that infringe. They violate constitutional rights, and all across the country, law enforcement who wear that badge are put in the position to enforce those tyranny infringements, tyranny actions, I believe. So at a certain point, when I start seeing, I used to respect the police a lot, when I start seeing the police stand up and say, we're not enforcing that, it's anti-constitutional, we're not going to come out and prey on people for stupid things, we're going to do our job, but we're not going to be anti-constitutional. When I start seeing police and departments and at the heads, the upper echelons, the command staff doing that and standing up and saying, no, our department doesn't do that. When I start seeing that, then I'll start believing you guys have a mind of your own. Until then, you're kind of autonomous, like robots. You just kind of do what you're told for the most part.
Well, man, it sounds like you're trying to make the world a better place.
Quick question: how many of you think what she really meant was, well, it sounds like I need to get the hell out of here? That's it.
So I appreciate
Maybe.
that.
You have a nice day. I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. Did you have your body cam on for that encounter?
I turned it on right as we left. I forgot I turned it off after.
So it
this
wasn't on when we
contact.
just...
It was the 2 minutes until we stopped, and then now I just initiated it, but I forgot.
How much of our conversation did you get? I'm trying to decide if I'm doing. That's it? Okay, that's
I
fine.
can go back and pre-record.
No,
if you
that's
think it's important.
no, it's not. I got it on here. It's just normally when I get recorded by you guys, just to make sure I get a copy of what you have, I do an open records request and get all the stuff. But
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, 2 minutes of it, and then right now it's recording.
I'm not worried about it then.
Okay.
You have a good day. Be safe, ma'am. I better hit this crosswalk button, or she might give me a jaywalking ticket. And just to aggravate people who think I talk too much, because I don't really care. Again, I'll say there are arguably good people, depending upon your definition, that wear that uniform. And then there's some bad people that do as well. But the problem is, all of them, once they put that uniform on, are stormtroopers for tyrants. They are either tyrants themselves or tyrants by extension. They enforce unconstitutional laws every minute, and then will be called upon to do so, even if they aren't now. And their excuse is always, I'm just doing my job. I just have to do my job. I was just following orders. And history shows they are used as such, and they are now being used as such, as the stormtroopers, the enforcers of tyranny. As such, regardless of her professionalism, politeness, I do not for a second consider it impossible, nor can I discount her having ulterior motives for consensual contact, such as to be able to articulate cause for further investigation, such as but not limited to temporary detention, interrogation, demand for ID, pat-down search, with hopes of being able to articulate full search and or arrest. You may have your own opinions, and that is what so many have raised their right hand to fight and die for in many conflicts, and that is your First Amendment right, and that is what freedom is. If you can do so and have those opinions and express them on the topic, so be it. If you can't, I can help you find another channel that gives a flying raccoon's fornication about you and your crap by dismissing you with extreme prejudice. Consider it my good deed for the day when I help motivate you to find another channel. If you don't know by now, I honestly couldn't give a shite less about the subscriber count, nor someone disliking my opinions, my approach, nor my comments. Carry on. What I found today is you guys are being used as stormtroopers against we the people's rights.
Stormtroopers, huh?